And
I'm going to throw one out there for you, John, because not a band. I know you're not big on your hip hop. I'm going to see if you can piece together what you can. Overrated, going to offend a lot of people. Tupac Shakur. He, while very talented, clearly plagued by a lot of personal issues that involve obviously criminality and things like that. But his music is really good. But I think that is down to it being well produced by you people like Dr. Dre and things like that. And I just think if he hadn't passed away, would he be lauded in such high regard? I think Notorious B.I.G., people compare them, is considerably better. Your opinion, John? Sorry.
yeah, so obviously you are going out my wheelhouse a little bit here. I'm not the biggest rap or hip hop fan, although there are certain artists that I do enjoy. I think goes back to kind of what I said with like Iron Maiden, funnily enough, that a band or an artist can turn into a brand. I think Tupac is a brand. I think people like more what he kind of stood for and what is kind of messages were and stuff more than the actual music itself. Sometimes it's trendy to have a Tupac t-shirt or something like that. I think another case of not to spiral off is Bob Marley is like a massive kind of like case of that instance where he attracts a lot of potheads, weed smokers, purely based on the fact that he liked weed, and I think
it was a religion for him, wasn't it? The Rastafarian religion. But I agree as well. People latch onto it, but then again, is that just good marketing? His music obviously was very good. He was a talented artist, and I fully appreciate that. But when people think like to leave such a lasting, iconic look on a style of music, when you think of reggae music, you think of Bob Marley.
Yeah.
Your mind doesn't instantly jump to like Chronics or like Toots and the Maytals. Toots and the Maytals were around years before Bob Marley, decades before, but no one jumps to that. They jump to Bob Marley. Bob Marley is the Beatles. He's what the Beatles did to rock music, is what he did to reggae. A very niche, small genre of music, if I can say that. But yeah, I'm totally on board with that. His merchandise, people buy it, and people jump on the weed smoking side of it, I think, don't they, rather than the music. And
again, very limited knowledge in this field, so I don't want to like overstep or anything like that. But what I would say to try and defend Tupac is, before him, were there any standalone rappers? Like, from what I remember, like the early form of hip hop, it was like NWA and kind of hip hop groups, Run DMC, stuff like that. Was he kind of like the first one to break out as a solo artist? Or
no, he wasn't.
No.
If you look at some of the early hip hop groups, so Tupac was in the 90s, early 90s, and in the 80s, I don't know whether it was late 70s actually. Grandmaster Flash obviously was a solo artist, and he was one of the first rappers ever.
Was he?
World Class Wrecking Crew was where Dr. Dre came from, and that was the 80s.
Yeah.
Or pretty much everyone in the NWA split off and did solo projects before Tupac. So it wasn't anything original at the time. His music spoke to people on a mass level, and I get that, and I appreciate it, and I do, and have personally enjoyed Tupac's music for decades. But I just don't think he's as good as people hold him, like in that high regard.
We'll have to let other Tupac heads weigh in on that one, because I really can't speak for it. I think I've probably heard in my life a total of 2 or 3 Tupac songs. I don't mind them, but I'm more like the songs that were sampled on them more than the actual. I'm not the biggest rap fan, to be honest. I think the biggest kind of rap artist that I've ever really had an interest in is Eminem, obviously, and Kanye West, but that's a whole other rabbit hole of its own, really.
I was going to say they could make lists of their own, really, of overrated. But